South America, Asia, Africa, and around the globe. Stated agenda is economic, to address poverty and the global wealth imbalance. Loosely classed as communists, although they have no stated political, national, or religious allegiances. They use Greek code names online, and they are very, very smart. "What about their leaders?" Cabot asked. "One or two names have cropped up. The guy code-named Hyperion we believe to be a 27-year-old Venezuelan named Jose Hernandez. He's the fellow who leaked the private emails of the former Exxon boss." "The chap with the transsexual mistress and the cocaine habit?" Cabot remembered Group 99's sting on the hapless oil executive. Despite the CEO's resignation, hundreds of millions of dollars had been wiped off the share price. "Precisely. Ironically, Hernandez comes from a wealthy establishment family. They may have helped him avoid detection by the authorities. But part of the problem is that there are no clear leaders. Group 99 disapproves of traditional hierarchy in all its forms. Because it's web-based and anonymous, it's more of a loose affiliation than a classic terrorist organization. Different individuals and cells act independently under one big umbrella." Cabot sighed. "So it's a hydra with 1,000 heads. Or no heads." "Precisely." "What about funding? Do we know where they get their money from?" "That's a more interesting angle. For a group that purports to be against accumulated wealth, they seem to have a lot of cash washing around. They invest in technology to fund their cyber attacks. It's an expensive business, staying ahead of the game against sophisticated systems at places like Microsoft or the Pentagon." "I can imagine," said Cabot. "We also believe they are behind various multi-million-dollar anonymous donations to both charitable groups and left-wing political parties. Numerous sources have pointed to a female member of the group, an American, as both one of their largest donors and a driving force in Group 99's strategic objectives. You remember the attack on the CIA a year ago, when they published a bunch of compromising private emails from top Langley staffers?" The Prime Minister nodded. "The Americans believe that was her. She operates under the code name Althea, but that's pretty much all anyone knows about her." Julia Cabot stood up and walked over to the window, aware of Frank Dorian's eyes boring into her back. She found the old soldier difficult. Only a week ago she'd met with him to discuss the tragic and diplomatically embarrassing suicide of the young Greek prince at Sandhurst. It struck her then how little compassion General Dorian had shown for the boy, as well as how dismissive he was of the political ramifications of his death on British soil and in the care of the British Army. Perhaps he was depressed, was the closest he'd come to offering any explanation. And when pressed, he'd become positively irritated. "With respect, Prime Minister, I was his commanding officer, not his therapist." Yes, Julia Cabot had thought angrily, and I'm your commanding officer. She wondered whether Dorian was being so rude because she was a woman, or whether he was always this way. On this occasion, however, the General was right. Bob Daly's blood was on her hands. If the American journalist, Hunter Drexel, died too, she would never forgive herself. "We must work with the Americans on this," she announced. "Total transparency." Jamie McIntosh raised an eyebrow laconically. Total transparency was not a phrase that made him feel good. At all. "They need to get their man Drexel out of there. I want you to give the CIA everything you have, Jamie. Possible locations, all of that." "So we're going to help rescue their man after abandoning our own?" Frank Dorian looked suitably outraged. "We're going to make the best of a bad job, General," the Prime Minister shot back. "And in return we'll expect the CIA to share all of their intelligence on Group 99's global network with us. Up until now, their cyber attacks have focused primarily on U.S. targets. American companies and government agencies have been hit a lot harder than we have. I'm sure they already have groaning files on these bastards." "I'm sure they do, Prime Minister," Frank Dorian said dryly. It was uncanny the way he managed to make every comment sound like a criticism. "Something made these people change tactics," Cabot said, ignoring him. "Something changed them."